Welcome back to the pod you're looking for. I'm Sam, and this is Josh, and this is the Marvel theorizing episode you're looking for. I don't even know, what would we call this. This is
where
loose.
Marvel is going to be going.
This is exactly where Marvel is headed. We think we've cracked it, and hey, here we are.
Time to discuss.
But first,
yes.
it is hot out,
dude.
The heat. We prayed for no rain, and we got what we asked for.
Tough.
I think the grass isn't always greener on the other
side. You can't find a much bigger summer guy than me at all. I love every part of summer. I love it. I mean, baseball's back. I already got the shirt on today.
Oh, my goodness.
Everything's good about summer.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, dude. Is there anything worse than counting up and having about 15 bug bites up and down your legs, combined with sweaty, hot days?
No.
And being stuck in your car? Oh, my goodness, man.
There's nothing worse.
There's really nothing
There might actually be nothing worse.
There's nothing worse. Dude, I have a black car, and every time I get back to it, man, oh, my goodness. It's like a pressure cooker in there, dude. It's like 150 degrees.
Is it leather on the inside, too?
I swear. Yeah.
Is it really? You got leather seats and everything?
It's crazy.
Oh,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I don't
think
it was
it was like 88 yesterday or something. Dude, it was crazy. And it was just
humid,
not a cloud in the sky.
It's humid. It's awful. It's awful.
Man.
Anyway, we do have some news to get into. Correct?
We do have some
news.
You
do have some things prepped?
I think so. I think
we have a couple articles. It's a little bit of a slow week in the world of pop culture, but I think we have enough to discuss here that we can kind of make a good pod out of it. So, first off, I was looking through. I kind of want your take. The Thunderbolts box office return has been underwhelming. Is it the second worst performing Marvel movie of all time?
I saw that.
What do you make of that?
Such a bummer, dude, isn't it? I feel like for the longest time we've been clowning on these horrible movies that they've been putting out. The second they put out something of substance that we actually like, it's like we've been clamoring, if you put out good movies and good stuff here, we're going to see positive results from that. And to just finally have that happen and then there not be the results, it's like, how can you argue? I mean, what did Eternals do, like triple that?
Something like that, yeah, because it was like the next big team-up. It was marketed as like the next big team-up, and I think that everyone, because of how good the Guardians turned out to be, assumed that Marvel could just take any character and make them into somebody, and unfortunately, like, there always has to be a point where you learn that, these companies can't do everything, but I don't know.
Why do you think that is? Because I felt like coming into Thunderbolts and post-Thunderbolts, the advertising and the marketing, especially on social media, has been phenomenal.
Oh, it has been, yeah.
And I feel like, I remember even a couple days after, we were saying, did they jump the gun with putting so much stuff out about this already? Making it the new Avengers? And I kind of figured, if anything, that would just drive up ticket prices.
Right.
I'm shocked to see how low of a return they're getting on this movie.
What's the opposite? Like, what's the phrase for the opposite of, like, too little, too late? Because I feel like that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like too much, too late or something. I
don't
know.
Too much, too early.
There is another phrase or something.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I just feel like we've talked about it. It's exactly what we wanted for years as Marvel fans. We were starved for a movie like this. And it's a tough thing where it's like we finally got the movie we'd been asking for, but you can't blame people for not trusting Marvel enough anymore to go and see it, And people are talking about it like it bodes terribly for the future of Marvel. Do I think Avengers Doomsday will only gross $300 million? Of course not. But I understand people's reservation about, another group of nobodies look at Marvel's, because it's happened a couple times. This whole, like, Phase 4 and 5, unless you were a diehard Marvel fan, and either grew up with these side characters in the comics or were, like, willing to lock in and learn these people, like, you probably have been just, like, disappointed time and time again. And, you have like 50% of the Marvel fan base for a couple years that was crushed because it was these characters that they were actually excited to see, and the stories were terrible. Or you have the other side of the Marvel fan base that like knew nothing but were open-minded, and now they just don't trust the company anymore. So I don't know. I think that with Avengers you'll see an enormous boost again, but I don't think I really blame the Marvel fan base for not trusting the company with this one. And this is somebody who, you know how I feel about Thunderbolts. So I don't know, it's tough.
I think one thing that's good for this movie is I know we have a lot of friends that are probably those little fringe people that, like, they might go to some of the bigger Marvel stuff, but, like, on a general movie to movie, they're not going all the time.
Right.
I do know I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people that through word of mouth, they had heard Thunderbolts was very good. So in a way, I do think that while they didn't go, I think it does bode positively for the future of the MCU because of that word of mouth spread. Because I think for companies like this, it's so important to have your loyal fans as happy as they can be.
Yeah.
And I think that they did that here. Because if you got the loyal fans doing that, I mean, that's just going to spread out. Right? That'll make me a lot more eager to want to invite some other people to come to the movies with us, too, if I think that it's going to be going well. Which I think, hopefully, we'll see with Fantastic Four. I don't know if you think that it's going to do a lot better. I do.
I do. Yeah.
I think it could be $1 billion movie. I really do.
It could be.
It could be. I'm not sure, but I think it could be.
I think that people were really desperate for a good Marvel movie with the Thunderbolts, but like you said, it was like the diehard fan base, the whoever was still around to see a good movie come out. Now, like you said, you have people that, and I know what you're talking about. I've had conversations with people and heard people be like, I didn't see Thunderbolts, but I heard it was good. That's good to know that Marvel's putting out good stuff again. Like, I'll have to go and see it sometime, or I'll go see the next one or something. Exactly. And that is like there is like a wave of responses like that to this movie and just Marvel in general. And I think the larger audience and people who have been around long enough to see these studios try again with the Fantastic Four and fail, I think there is like an even greater audience that's like desperate for a good Fantastic Four movie. And I really think we finally got it. I would hate to speak too soon, but I think just because of how far deep into the back of the wall Marvel has been put up, I think they recognize there's no margin for error. And I think, similar to like James Gunn's Superman, I think that you have just been seeing Marvel like slowly chip away at this product over time and really kind of refine it. There were even like reshoots like a couple weeks ago to do exactly that, 2-3 weeks ago. So I really think this thing won't disappoint. I hope it would hit $1 billion, but I really think it'll at least double Thunderbolt's return. 100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think, too, for that same... If Fantastic Four can live up to that potential and have the same kind of effect of word-of-mouth spread, it was very good. I think then going out for a year and a half, what is it, where it's going to be? I think a year and a half from there.
Yeah,
we'll have in between movies. I think having that gap, too, will make it that Avengers holds enough weight in its own to be like, oh, man, are you going to go see the new Avengers movie? I mean, it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
It's huge at our age as well. And... I think having the effect of 2 movies back-to-back that just shows, okay, we're in a good spot, that all that people have is that last taste in their mouth is good. Mm-hmm. And I hope that goes forward to hearing, oh, man, I really got to see these movies now.
Yeah.
And I think it will.
Yeah.
I think it will.
It's all the more reason, and we'll get into it in a little bit further, but it's all the more reason why I'm stunned that Marvel reportedly didn't put Doom in Fantastic Four. Almost because, like you said, like now is the time. And if you want to kind of like leave it all on the table, especially since there's a year and a half until the next big thing, I'm kind of shocked that Marvel did not at least like put, even if it is just like an Avengers 1 Thanos reveal type thing where he just turns around, you don't even have to get Downey Jr. onto the set for that. You can literally just have a guy put the mask on and turn around and people are like freaking out. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit shocked that he's not in the movie in any capacity. I don't know if you tell the story of Fantastic Four with the intent to lead into Secret Wars without telling the story of Doom, or at least including him in some capacity. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I 100% think Doom is going to be in the post-credit scenes.
You think so?
100%.
I hope so.
I think they're lying.
I hope so, dude.
I don't know how you can't. And also, going back to Thunderbolts, we had just talked about how it looked like that post-credit scene was filmed right on the set of Doomsday.
Yep.
If they're filming right now, they have to have shot something.
Right.
And how can you not? If you're going to have that big of a gap, you need some sort of tease that people are like, man, we need that. I think they're 100% going to do it. And I know we'll come back to that. So,
another bit of news. The first Stranger Things teaser has dropped. Stranger Things 5. And it was less of a teaser. I mean, I say teaser very sparingly. I use that term very sparingly, and you know why. I mean, they showed like 6 scenes. But they announced the 3 release dates. It's being split into 3 parts. And part 3 is less of a part 3 and more of a finale. I think they've titled it part 1, part 2, and then the finale. But part 1 is Thanksgiving. And by Thanksgiving, it's like Thanksgiving Day. Part 2 is Christmas Day. And then the finale is New Year's Eve. What are your thoughts?
I'll tell you, I was at your house the day that this news dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that Stranger Things was going to be releasing on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, I think the first word that came out of my mouth to you was that it was very arrogant.
Interesting.
And I stand by that.
Okay.
I think it's bold to assume that your fan base, unless it's the diehards, are going to sacrifice, they're going to put aside those big holiday moments to be able to watch your show.
Yeah.
It's a big risk, I think. With that said, I will still be watching.
On the day of or no?
Maybe not Christmas.
Right.
I think it technically drops Christmas Eve, actually.
Oh, is it
I
Christmas
think it's
Eve?
Christmas
Okay.
Eve.
Okay.
Maybe not. I don't remember.
Probably.
Maybe
I think
not.
that'd be smarter.
It would be. Still, though, can you imagine yourself right now? It's Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and everything going on. I can't really imagine myself watching it.
No.
Like unless it's the end of Christmas Day, maybe
Right.
like 10
You're
o'clock.
getting back in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just really can't think about that. I don't know. I'm really excited to watch it come out, and I'm excited to get into talking about the trailer, but we'll finish on this. But
I think part of the reason it seems so offensive to ask that of the audience is because the episodes are confirmed to all be like feature-length movies. It's like, what, 8 episodes or something like that? It's like somewhere between like 7 and 9 episodes of like, they're all like 2 hours long, I've heard. Like an hour to 2 hours long. I think the finale is 2 hours and 30 minutes long. Which, New Year's Eve, I mean, I don't know. Unless you're like a big party person, I don't know how much of a sacrifice that is. But like Christmas Eve and Thanksgiving, to be asking people to, I don't know. And do you think you'd feel this way if the spoiler climate on social media wasn't as bad as it is?
That's 100% driving this. Yes.
Yeah.
That, and also, I feel like for things like this, I want to be as excited as I possibly can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I am really excited for it. But when you already have a moment in life where, I mean, those are some of the best holidays, right? I mean, you're already having so many things you're thinking about. You're already excited to go. I just can't imagine myself being able to give full attention to Stranger Things when it's Christmas.
Right.
I really can't.
Yeah.
And that kind of bums me out. I love so much more when shows release in like a period of time where I have nothing else fun coming out or happening, and you're able to just focus entirely on just that one thing. So I really hope that. And two, exactly what you say. I'm a Twitter guy, and if you don't watch something within the first day or two, you essentially just have to put your social media away.
Yeah.
Or you're done.
You got to delete some
You're
stuff.
done.
Uh-huh.
So it is a little frustrating for that, because we pretty much have to watch it those nights.
Yeah.
Now. What did you think of the actual trailer itself?
I thought... You know what? I thought it was perfect. I actually thought it was perfect. I think that we see too much, and we talked about this. We see too much lately. Like, we talked last week about how Captain America Brave New World would have been 3 times better if people didn't see what they saw in the trailers. Like, it was perfect. I thought, great. You've like, we have rewatched Stranger Things. Like, we have that context. We've gone back and we've, oh yeah, that happens. For some people, they haven't touched Stranger Things since the end of season 4. And so I think it's good to run people through it and catch people up. And then to finish it out with 6 to 7 out of context clips that like are just enough to like cause people to lose their mind. And I think that's what they did. I think that's exactly how a teaser should be. I think by the time the show comes out, we'll be feeling just like every other thing that we've seen too much. So I think for the time being, it's like, it's okay. I understand like a lot of people are upset because it's like they waited so long just for a recap. But I think you have to think about the larger audience. Did you like it or no?
I felt when I first watched it, I went, this is just all flashbacks.
Yeah.
I was like, what are we doing here? I was like, we waited this long. Exactly what you just said. But immediately I thought about the same thing. I think last week on our episode we were talking about how we hate how half the movie's spoiled like that. I think they did such a good job at... It was exactly what it was, a teaser. It was perfect. You got that little bit of those flashes of scenes that you had to go back and pause and be like, what did I just see? Mm-hmm. And you have no idea what it means. Not at all. And it's going to come together. But I love how they did that. And it was, man, it was really good. And I thought at first when it went through, when they announced the release dates in it, I thought that was the end at first, and I had paused it. And I was like, are you serious? We really got 0 scenes.
Yeah.
And that was part of the problem. But then I saw that there was a little more left on the video. Where were you at with that Will clip? Did you see that? It's Will's... Memed. Yes. I'm seeing it everywhere. I think, first off, I actually don't think that was I don't think that's bad acting there at all.
No, it's not bad acting. I think it's a very unserious camera angle.
It is. It's really funny. You know that meme of the guy where it's the one where he's looking up and he's going like that?
Yeah,
that's exactly what it was given. The same thing.
Are you talking about Willem Dafoe when he's
looking
up the
Yes. Do you think Will is going to be the main center point of this season?
I think so. Because I think one of the only things that the Duffer Brothers have said is that they wanted to reunite the 4 original cast members throughout. This is their story. And I think at the end of season 4, the hair on the back of his neck standing up was no mistake. I think that it seems as though you can't totally erase the mental connection. As long as the Upside Down is there. I would imagine the only way to do that would be to totally sever the connection between the Upside Down and the real world, which would be to totally... I think 11 has to die. I'm not gonna lie. I think 11 has to die for that to happen. But I think Will is going to be an integral part. For better or for worse. I mean, you kind of look at him and you're like, especially after season 4, you're like, I'm not sure where else they could take his character in a leading capacity. And you have a lot of people clamoring, saying that Mike kind of should have gotten a little bit more attention. He was kind of marketed as the leader of the group all throughout the series, but then he's not really doing that all that much. I don't know. I think it does have to do with Will. Will and 11, of course. With each episode being over an hour long, you have the flexibility to make the show about everybody. I wouldn't be surprised also if the show is just about no one and about everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
I'm thinking... I don't know if it's both of them. I don't know if it's one of them. I'm thinking there's going to be some tie with Vecna to the idea of targeting certain people in a way of using them to manipulate them and use them for his purpose against them. And I think that could be Will. I also have a thought that I think there could be something with Sadie Sink. And why am I blanking on her?
Max?
Max, thank you. Max. I think there might be something with her being in that state of almost like a coma kind of thing. What if it's that part of that moment? Because she gets Vecna actually his thing where he'd hook onto them.
He did everything but kill her. Yeah.
Yes. I almost wonder if there's something where he's got control of her a little bit, but she's still present. Something there. I like the idea of them doing something that way with either Will or him. I wonder with that Will scene if it's when he's yelling run like that. I wonder if that's him trying to fight against himself in that moment.
Interesting. He's telling people to run from him.
Yes. That's what I wondered. Because of that connection to the past, being in the Upside Down, I don't know. Something with that would be interesting.
That would be. What do you hear the rumors about Eddie returning?
I do, yeah.
Do you think that's more... I think Vecna, on your topic, I think if Vecna were to get in anybody's head at the moment, it would probably be Dustin.
Really?
Because I think he has the most immediate trauma of anybody in the group. I think that Mike, ultimately, everything that would have caused him trauma in the 4th season was resolved by the end. 11 was back, Hopper was back, Will was all like everybody was. The band was back together, and I think, or maybe Lucas. I don't know. But then again, I think he's holding out hope because Max is still alive. Like Dustin just lost Eddie, and I think he. I don't know. It seemed like Vecna targeted people that had some sort of like a trauma or like an immediate like singular event that kind of was like a cosmic shift in their personality. I don't know. And I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie returns to almost like get in Dustin's head or something. Like almost like in a flashback or hallucination form. I think people saying he'll return is what is it, like some bat thing from the Upside Down? I doubt it. But I definitely think he could be like a hallucination or something.
I totally agree with that. I think if he doesn't return, though, I think he would be the furthest person from that. Because I think he's the only person, technically, that has somebody he's lost because of this.
Yeah. Okay.
So I almost think Dustin would be one of the harder people to turn if you're Vecna, because he's one of the only people that's had actual loss.
Turn, yes, but I think Vecna would be gunning after Dustin in the same way that he was gunning after Max.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I agree with that.
That's interesting, though. Who would he turn within the group if he had to turn somebody? You think who would it be?
See, that's where I'm saying I think almost Will he could do. I think
think
because Will wants it, but because...
Right.
And that's where I'm saying that, or maybe that's where Max comes in with that whole theory. Well, I think maybe he's got control of her somehow. I don't know.
Well, what was interesting to me is at the tail end of 4, when 11 tries to get in Max's head and find her, she's not there. Implying that she was brain dead, almost. Like, however, I feel that even if she is in, like, a comatose state, like, her consciousness should still be there.
Yeah.
Because in a coma, you're there. You just can't do anything about it. You're almost in, like, a dreamlike state. So I almost feel like, is Max somewhere? Like, consciously? You could be onto something. Because I feel like she should have been there.
I actually didn't think of that when I first thought of that point. But now that you've said that, I'm totally sold on that idea.
Yeah, so because even furthers yours, where she could just be
yeah.
somewhere in the Upside Down or something.
I mean, throughout their whole seasons, I've always pointed back to the fact that I love about that show, that they connect things to even season 1. It's always intentional. Mm-hmm. And it feels like one of the shows only out there that everything is calculated, it's done for a reason.
Yep.
I'm all in on that.
Yeah.
Max is turning. Heard it here first. If that is a thing, I think we were the first on.
Lucas needs a break, dude.
He does, man. Poor guy. Dude, that's one of the scenes that actually made me almost tear up, man. When he's like sobbing about her.
Yeah.
He's like yelling to Erica.
And who was the guy that he beat up?
Oh my.
What's his name?
He was the worst. He was actually the worst. He made me so mad.
He was like the quintessential like '80s jock, though. That guy, he played his part well. You know a guy's great at the party place if you hate his guts, But I can't remember his name. It'll come to me. I'll just shout it out. I'll probably shout it out in my sleep at 3 a.m. or something.
Well, we'll have plenty of time to cover that as it gets closer. We'll have 3 separate parts around the holidays.
Oh my goodness.
Perfect time.
Business will be booming. The third and final news segment, I think, leads pretty well into a brief discussion we kind of want to have about the direction of Marvel, where we think everything is going. Doomsday reportedly is focused around, and I don't know, I didn't look, this is partly my fault. I didn't look into this enough to see if this was actually confirmed or if this was just like a very credible source. Doomsday is reportedly centered around 5 characters. That being Doom, Reed Richards, Loki, Thor, and Sam.
Really?
Which, of course, the Doom and the Sams of this bunch are not that much of a shock. And you kind of assumed that Loki would play some part, being the god of stories, but I don't think I expected him to be like one of the main aspects of it. And I don't think I expected Thor either. So what are your thoughts on this?
Last week we talked about what he posted.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Hemsworth.
Yep.
That makes me feel almost like it's a definitive that one of the two of them is dying. And they're going to play a huge aspect of the sacrifice of it. It's not just going to be a death for the shock value of Doom killing somebody. It's going to be Man, I actually hadn't seen that at all before this. That's interesting. I mean, it makes sense for the other three. It really does.
Of course.
Like, you expected that. You
Yeah.
expected.
I almost expected Strange, though, to be a pivotal part, and I'm kind of surprised he's not.
I am interested by that. Do you think he ever jumps into a team situation here, or do you think it takes him a while to come back and he has his own kind of separate moment, like
Strange?
by himself? Yeah, like you know how Thor was off on his own quest. Like, do you think we get something similar there?
I think they have to. I think if you're not going to come out with a Strange 3 between now and Doomsday to address what he's doing in the Dark Dimension, I think you have to. There needs to be some sort of a tie-in. He can't just be, I was over in the Dark Dimension and all of a sudden I got pulled through. No one cares. No, like what actually is going on with Strange? We don't know. And he was supposed to be like a really important part of the MCU. We talked about it last week. Like, people talked about Captain Marvel, Black Panther, and Spider-Man being like primary focuses of the MCU going forward. Like, Strange was also huge in that. You don't just have Benedict Cumberbatch around to mismanage his character, except that's what they've been doing. So I just can't help but be like, they have to do something. If they're not going to put Strange 3 between now and Doomsday, you have to explain why he's been out of the picture.
Do you think there's any chance they do something like that, or do you think it's pretty much written that those two are the next two movies? Because I almost wonder if there's any chance that they announce a movie for in between those two movies now that would explain some of those characters that don't pop up in Doomsday.
Well, here's what's even more interesting is evidently Marvel doesn't have a panel at the upcoming Comic-Con. Which
Really?
tells me one of two things. Either they have announcements that they're working hard on to like speed run, and they're almost so hard at work that they have no time to show up, which feels stupid, or they have nothing to announce. Right? Like, we put our delays up, and we'll see you next year, type.
Do they usually announce stuff like that at a panel?
I would feel if they were going to do like a Black Panther 3, a Thor 5, a Strange 3, they would have to announce that now. Like, now is the time. And they're not.
So you think 100% essentially the next two after Fantastic Four is just those Avengers movies and that's it?
I think so, which makes me a little nervous. Not nervous in the sense that it'll suck, but nervous in the sense that, like, I think as good as those movies will probably be, they probably could feel more fleshed out if you... I don't know, dude. Am I crazy to say I almost wouldn't even mind another crappy Strange movie if it just brought him back into the fray?
I totally agree.
Is that weird?
It's so many moving parts, and we know almost nothing about it.
Yeah.
Nothing. I would love, and this is why Doom has to be in Fantastic Four. He's going to be. There needs to be some aspect of tying this all together. You can't just start the beginning of a story right at the beginning of Doomsday. I don't know how you do. You've got two movies, and I know you were calling that you think Secret Wars is going to be 2 parts. But I don't know how you do everything that they want to do in 2 movies. And, like, honestly, it kind of bums me out, right? I want to see this story super detailed. I mean, the way in Infinity War and Endgame they tie back to events even in earlier movies. I mean, like when Tony gets to go visit his dad. And I know that's not directly the same kind of thing here, but it does make it feel a lot more cohesive. And this just feels very, like, on its own. And that's good because it's been bad, but it also makes me upset that it hasn't had a better road to getting here.
I think it's a bummer when they're like, oh, Marvel's back, and Marvel will be back with Doomsday and Secret Wars. These are like the next big, we're going to be back. But after that, there's no roadmap, and until then, you're not getting anything else. It kind of makes me feel like, wait, okay, so we're going to be back in the glory days for like half a year? Like, I kind of, if we're going to be back, and we're going to really feel like we've gotten these like amazing Marvel movies that we used to grow up receiving on a yearly basis, like, I kind of want to enjoy this period a little bit longer than just a year. Like, and if you've got it in you to tell stories of that caliber again, let's keep the ball rolling. I don't know. And again, that's why I think it's, I don't know how crazy it is to say, I would rather you do a 5th crappy Thor movie, a 3rd crappy Strange movie, and a 3rd unnecessary Black Panther, just to get us back into these characters. Where it's like the movie did not need to happen, but at least now we know where Black Panther's at. Because you can't tell me that, like, in the instances in the last 3 years where we've gotten, like, Avengers-level threats in not just the movies, but the shows, like, that these characters have just been, oh, they're just off-world. That makes no sense. I don't know. It just makes no sense that Thor would be that invested in the world, and then, like, he just isn't around, but then, like, this fifth Avengers movie is going to focus on him. It's going to be a story about Thor and Loki. I'm just kind of like, okay, awesome, but where's he been?
I agree with you partly.
What do you disagree with? I want to hear this.
I think the thing I agree with is that they need to have some more movies in between there. I really think that they should have. Exactly. Like Thor 5, Black Panther 3, Strange 3. Those movies should have happened. And should be happening. I would rather a longer wait to Avengers so that we get a better road.
I 100% agree.
The problem I have is I would rather not have those movies unless they're good.
Oh, I agree with that too. I'm not saying intentionally make them bad. I'm just saying if it means we can get involved with these characters again.
I don't know if I would want that though. I don't know if I would want those movies to be out and be but okay, at least we have some direction. I don't know if that's a worthwhile sacrifice there. Because if I think about it, if we were to put out Thor Love and Thunder again, and Wakanda Forever again, and Multiverse of Madness, it moves the stories again, I think it does more damage than it does help the story here.
That's true.
At least we have some positive writing from the past movies.
That is true.
Not that you're saying you want that.
No, I would be hanging from an oak tree if we got another Multiverse of Madness. But like, do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like it doesn't make sense that suddenly these characters are just all back together.
I agree with that. And
like, where have they been?
Where have they been? Why is there so many big things happening? I mean, did they really touch on what happened with Sentry?
No, and like,
even nobody's there to help.
No, and even in Thunderbolts, they're like, "Oh, it's just such a shame that the Avengers are gone." And in Cap Brave New World, he's like, "The world needs the Avengers," and I'm like, "Yeah, heck yeah." Where have they been? Like, it's not like at the end of Endgame they all retired. They just, the threat was no longer there, so they all just went back home. But it's not like they suddenly aren't Avengers anymore. So I just kind of feel like there's like a little area that I'm trying to ignore for the sake of enjoying my time more a little bit with this franchise, where I'm just like, okay, but where have they been? Like, why aren't the Avengers together anymore? Was there a fight? Was there something that we don't see? Do they just feel like there's no need for them anymore? Because I don't see why it goes from Loki to Ultron to Thanos. The threats just keep escalating. And then after the biggest threat, you're like, I think that's a wrap. Like, no, I would think you'd stay together to, like, stay equipped for whatever comes next. I don't, And do I think that bringing the band back together and, like, we need to bring the Avengers back together. Like, do I think that's a great plot line? Yeah, 100%. That excites me to no end. But I just, there's a part of me that's like, where have they been?
I think it's a cool story to tell as well with that. The aspect of how integral Iron Man and Cap were to the leadership of that group. Mm-hmm. That without them, like, this is what happens.
Nobody's together.
Yeah. At all. Even though they were both very divisive guys in a way, it still worked out that they were the leaders of that. So I like that story, but I totally agree with your perspective on that, where it's like, there are big threats coming and happening. And Hawkeye's just at his ranch. Hulk doesn't care.
Right.
I mean, maybe he's back in Ragnarok, like,
right.
I don't know. And this kind of brings a thought to me as well. It's slightly off. Is Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, is Scarlet Witch actually dead in the MCU?
I guess we don't know. I guess we never got any confirmation. You see the flash of red magic when she supposedly dies in Multiverse of Madness, but you never get confirmation.
I have 100% seen about at least 10 worse falls in Marvel that didn't kill the person.
Yeah.
There's just no way. And I saw her come out fairly recently and say, "Oh, well, I am dead. Why would I be in the movie?" Okay. Come on.
Okay.
Please. Okay. Okay, Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. She's definitely appearing in one of the two movies.
So how would you want to work somebody like that in?
Do you think there's some angle with how Strange gets back ties in with her at all? Do you think there's something there? Or how would you do it? I don't know how I would come about that, because she kind of ended on villainous kind of run. So I don't know how she comes back in and is helping the Avengers at all.
Well, here's the thing I wrestle with is I feel that her character actually got a pretty definitive arc. The problem is I feel like it came about 10 years sooner than it should have. I think there's only so much time you can do the whole, oh, Wanda's traumatized and occasionally she acts out type of thing. Like, eventually you're like, all right, buddy. But, like, I think that there was so much more to tell with that character. There was, like, West Coast Avengers, but there's, like, a whole plot line where she's like, no more mutants, and she, like, tries to eradicate the mutants, and obviously that can't happen until the X-Men are in there. But there's so much more to her character than just the traumatized, meta-human. But it's a weird thing where it's like at the same time, I guess if she didn't appear again, I would understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I guess if she didn't have, if they were to come out and say, truth be told, Wanda's not in this because we feel that we looked at it, we tried to see is there an angle to bring her back, and there wasn't. But we did try. Like, I'd be like, I get it. You know what? I understand. Would I want to see that character again? Yeah, but like I understand to a certain extent bringing her back would be. I don't know.
I just feel like this is the one instance where it actually is totally fine to bring her back. Like, I don't think anyone would bat an eye at the idea.
No.
Where, they're bringing Robert Downey Jr. back again, and Marvel always undoes stuff. I don't think anyone would think a thing really with this. I know some people sure would have a point, but
no. I think the only thing you would really kind of struggle with as Marvel down the road is post Secret Wars. People would be like, all right, now you brought all these characters back. What are you going to do with them? Because now these actors are all like way too big for your movies.
Yes.
And way too hard to get.
Yes, I think so.
Do you think Secret Wars is less of like a celebration of everything and more like a cleaning house and starting over?
Yes.
Okay.
I think totally. That's a great way to say that. I think exactly. They're going to clean house. They're going to use the multiverse angle to send people back to different places, and we kind of get like a reset on like, where are we at now? I'd be actually really interested to see if we could go forward in time and see who's around as the supposed Avengers once we're done with these movies. That would be really interesting to see.
Yeah.
Because I feel like almost in these movies, almost everybody, not everybody, almost everybody is up for grabs as far as somebody that could die.
I'd say so, yeah. Everybody except for
like
Tom Holland's Spider-Man, maybe, and
Cap, Sam Wilson. I would say, I think he's safe. I think Tom's safe.
Like, probably a fair amount of the Thunderbolts.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, Red Guardian die.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Probably, yeah.
But, right? I mean, can you really name any other characters that are significant enough that you're like, man, I don't know.
I don't think so, no.
Feels like anybody's open. And this kind of brings me to something I wanted to talk to you about, is how you think everybody is going to fit into these movies, because I've been very vocal that I think the way to do this is by forming a lot of teams. We're going to have the X-Men coming over. We already have the Sam Wilson-led Avengers. We have the Avengers with a Z forming with the Thunderbolts.
Yep.
And I've been in my mind trying to pair off where I think people go and where people sit. And I really like this idea a lot. That then it's tough to figure out how everybody works together. And I think that could be a big reason for why they lose. Because they have a lot of crazy talent now. Like, across the board. Everybody.
Yeah.
I would love to see that be the angle of why they can't do it, is because they can't work together.
Mm.
And I would love it to be very divisive between teams. I feel like they're going to do the Sam Wilson, and I have it written down a little bit, and I kind of want to get your opinion. I have on their team, I have Captain Marvel, I have Shuri, I have Thor, Hulk, Hawkeye, Shang-Chi, Falcon, Ant-Man, and Star-Lord.
Okay.
I then have with the Thunderbolts, so the whole Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and then I think it would be interesting to see if the other Guardians team came in with them somehow, tied in. I don't know how we get there. I really don't. And that's part of the problem with this, is a lot of these characters are new and don't have much of a track with anybody. So it makes it tough. But I'd love that. I also think it'd be really funny if we have the whole Thunderbolts team with the Fantastic Four, and I know I posed this to you a couple weeks ago about them all having like a traumatic bonding experience kind of thing. Wouldn't it be funny to pair like Deadpool and Wolverine with them.
With the Thunderbolts?
Yeah, could you imagine like Deadpool like cracking jokes like while the Thunderbolts are all like?
I think that's the perfect place
I think
for
that
it.
would be really funny.
Yeah.
And I think it could work well that like almost everybody that's coming from different areas, multiverse kind of thing, if all of them paired on that team. And then we have like the OG guys more so, the people that were actually in Endgame are all together on a team with Sam, and that feels a bit more like the corporate team to me.
Yeah.
I also would love to see, I don't know if X-Men would filter with them. I imagine they'd be their own kind of thing.
Right.
I'd also love to see then that street level one where maybe we tie that in with Spider-Man 4. We get like Spider-Man, Daredevil, Kate Bishop, and maybe even like Moon Knight or Echo kind of tied in there. And I think it could create a lot of interesting dynamics. Like if you had somehow like the Spider-Man team with Kate versus Hawkeye being on Sam's team.
Yep.
And then Star-Lord versus the rest of the Guardians. I think it could be interesting if they try to mix and match things where you get a little bit of that history tied in as well as making it, I don't know, just interesting across the board.
So what are your suspicions with where you think that would go? Like you said, you think they would kind of clash, and that would be kind of why things don't work out in Doomsday.
I think that'd be interesting.
What do you think prompts the clashing? Just a difference in opinion on how the Avengers should be run?
I think so. Yeah. And again, that's the big problem here is they didn't really explain that too much of why Bucky and Sam don't see eye to eye.
Yeah.
Like, why did they not just decide to
It's weird to me that
come together?
Right, it's weird
There's
to me that
something
they would be at odds.
Yeah, it is weird. And I would love to have gotten a little more on that.
I'm sure we will.
But do you think this is something that happens at the beginning?
Yeah.
Of Doomsday? Do you think this is the whole beginning?
Maybe not beginning, because again, if you're not going to set Doom up in Fantastic Four, you have to do it from off rip on Doomsday. But I think that very early on, we're aware of why the Avengers are not totally a tight group. Interesting thing: Kevin Feige was asked about the Thunderbolts post-credit scene yesterday or 2 days ago. He said, which I think this is really cool. Apparently, the ship crash landing into Earth's orbit that the Thunderbolts see is called the Excelsior, which is what Stan Lee used to say, which I just think is a cool touch.
That's cool.
Kevin Feige's quote is, "Their ship is the Excelsior, and there is a Fantastic Four ship entering the MCU, but I'm not sure they're the same ship."
Wow. I saw that theory when this first came out.
Right, and at the time it was just a fan theory, but that's Kevin Feige.
That is Kevin Feige. Do you think... Did you see this? This is what I saw that stemmed from it. Was that the trailer for Fantastic Four and then that post-credit scene, like the ship design was slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
Like even, I think as far as like those little side bits, there was like 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then the actual Fantastic Four ship in the trailer has 4.
Yeah.
Little things like that. Interesting.
And that could be anything. That could be the Fantastic Four and Kevin Feige's just blowing smoke up our pant leg. It could be Doom for some reason, which, if you're not going to have him in Fantastic Four, I don't know why he'd suddenly just be, I don't know. It could be something as simple as, like, the robot, Herbie, is, like, he managed to get out, and he's coming in the ship to be like, my people need help, and then they go out, and that's how you kind of, like, intertwine. I don't know how you would do that. But it's just interesting that Kevin Feige is teasing that this isn't the Fantastic Four in this ship heading to Earth. Because I think that there's a good enough story premise to tell there, like, if that is the Fantastic Four. That it potentially not being opens up, it could literally, that I don't even know what that could be.
I don't think this is it, just playing devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's him covering his track on people saying they spoiled the movie? So,
Maybe.
By him saying that, it's like, oh, well, don't just assume that's them and Fantastic Four is spoiled, because it might not be. That's a thought. I don't think it's that, because I think he's thinking about bigger things right now when he's saying that.
I would love to be back in the Kevin Feige era of everything is a lie, trust nothing I say. I would love to be back in that era. I have no idea. I have no idea what to make of that. Because I think that we've all spent a heck of a lot of time being like, oh, okay, so the Fantastic Four, it doesn't work out at the end. Galactus consumes their world and they're crash landing on Earth, and that's how the Fantastic Four are here. And it might not be.
That'd be interesting.
So then that presents problems. Who's crash landing on Earth? What happens then? Where are the Fantastic Four? How do we get them into the picture?
I almost hope that's how it goes now. I I was big on the idea that I liked the fact of them losing that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But still, now that you say that, I think that would be so interesting. They just throw a curveball. The movie just goes exactly the opposite of the way you think.
Yeah.
And then maybe do they do a post-credit scene for this where they reveal that? Or do you think they leave that as like part of the intro to Doomsday?
Well, that's what I think would be cool is if the Fantastic Four post-credits took up immediately after the Thunderbolts post-credit ended, and you just have, like, as we're inching towards Doomsday, you're getting, like, almost a complete prologue. Although I think that a ship with the Fantastic Four logo crashing into Earth is enough, it would be interesting to, like, have it continue. Then it presents a whole other thing of, like, if that isn't the Fantastic Four, is it possible that it is Herbie or something being sent with a distress beacon to Earth just saying Doom is coming, or help us, our Earth has been destroyed, or something? This is a message through the cosmos or something to whoever might... whatever. Is it possible that Doomsday then becomes almost like a Return of the Jedi-esque story where you have Luke's arc and you have everybody else's, and they all come together at the end, but really they don't. They're two very separate stories. You have Luke trying to redeem his father, and then you have everybody else doing rebel things trying to blow up the Death Star. And Luke is very much not involved in theirs, and they have nothing to do with what Luke is dealing with. Do you think this almost becomes a Fantastic Four sequel? Like a direct sequel, where maybe the whole movie is the Fantastic Four off with Doom, or taking on Doom, and that's what's going on with them, and completely unaware of the Fantastic Four is all the stuff on Earth with the Avengers being at odds with one another. And at the end, the Fantastic Four can't stop Doom. Doom wins, opens up Battleworld, and then the Fantastic Four don't even meet everybody until Secret Wars.
Wow. In your scenario, that's this movie coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens then with all the rest of that movie that you've seen in the trailer?
Like Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Well, I would still think their world gets destroyed. But
So
it's
you're saying
like,
it's just a lot quicker than we thought to allow for them to be able to do the rest.
Maybe, well, or maybe the movie plays out exactly how we think it will. Their planet gets destroyed. Maybe Doom, having that history with Reed, sends help for the Fantastic Four to, like, kind of evac. And that's why you see the shot maybe of Sue looking down almost at the imploding Earth in the trailer. Maybe almost like reluctantly being pulled out as the people they promised to save could not be saved, and Galactus consumes their Earth. And then basically Doomsday is them realizing that, like, Doom is the last person they should have gone with. Or maybe, I don't know. And then you have the situation like you saw in the concept art where Sue and Franklin are with Doom in his throne room, and Reed is imprisoned, and, like, maybe that's how it all... I don't know, like what if the Fantastic Four are not at odds with Doom for a while? And what if Doomsday is really a Fantastic Four sequel and the Avengers get caught up in their business rather than the Fantastic Four kind of colliding with Earth and Doom kind of being like, you know, surprise, and like and they all have to, like, rally together? Like, what if it's a little bit more... I don't want to say disjointed because that implies that the story is not organized, but what if it's almost organized in a different way than we think, and it's almost like two separate movies going on at the same time? Because I think that allows you to set up Doom in an intimidating way. It allows you to grow closer to the Fantastic Four, because now you have technically two movies with them, about them, under your belt. But you're also exploring what's going on with the Avengers and the X-Men. See, but then that's the tricky part, is where the heck do the X-Men fit in? Aside from just a multiversal cameo sequence.
I don't know. Can I go off of your example? Because I really like that. Where would you go, based on your example? How would you start Doomsday then? And how would you take that first... Give me, like, your first hour.
I would start... It would be heavy on Doom backstory. I think you really... like... And again, I don't. Maybe you could have done this in Fantastic Four, but they just didn't for whatever reason. I mean, we're acting. I think Marvel's acting like Doom's not in it. We're telling the best story we possibly can, and maybe they do. But like at the same time, I don't know how hard it would have been since Doom is directly associated with the Fantastic Four to make this a Doom movie. I think you have to tell the story of Doom. I think you have to very early on explain why it's Iron Man. You know what I mean? But it's not. Like, I think you have to explain that. You have to address Kang. I think you have to. I don't think he can go unreferenced. I don't. And I don't know if there's some legal reason they can't bring up Kang. Like, I don't know if it's like they can't kill him because... I don't know. Like, they need to conclude Kang somehow. Even if it is like a... I don't know what they would do. But I think it needs to heavily lean into the Fantastic Four and Doom and really give us an understanding of why this is such a risk. I think halfway through then you need to have whatever incursion takes place that breaks the multiverse open and causes the X-Men to collide with Earth. And the final act in this specific scenario needs to be the Fantastic Four realizing that just how much of a threat Doom is. And by then it's too late. The Fantastic Four take on Doom. The Avengers clash with the X-Men, and then Doom just wins, and Battleworld's created, and the whole Avengers X-Men rivalry or feud or whatever you would want to call it, conflict, turns out to just be a big red herring and all for nothing. Like, it's all, like, it's like a whole situation of, like, I don't think you realize, like, how, like, I don't think you actually realize, like, what things are at stake right now. You guys are so worried about Avengers vs. X-Men right now. Like, Doom just is over here doing his thing. Like, and now you realize how little your issues were. I think it's like that, something. I don't know. I don't know how you would do it. What do you think?
I think I would do what you said, and I would almost have him wipe out the Kangs. And I like the idea of it being like a double agent thing to start, where it's like almost you don't really realize what he's up to. But in the meantime, like it's doing the flashbacks, you're kind of seeing exactly what's going on. Mm-hmm. Cuts over, he's just mauling him.
Yeah.
Running through him.
Right.
And I think it would be a great step-up villain for him to get some credibility. So that way he can get that credibility of being like, wow. Mm-hmm. And then you can kind of tie up that loose end as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you do with Kang, right? Are they totally done with Jonathan Majors?
I think so.
He's done?
I think so. I mean, he's trying to get back into acting, but it's like he's doing like indie movies right now. He's not going to be in the Marvel universe anytime soon.
Was he guilty? I didn't see that.
I think there were like audio tapes of him confessing to hitting somebody or choking his girlfriend or something something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was no way.
It's over. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't know what you do with the X-Men, dude.
I think it's just a fake out. Oh, the X-Men are here. Oh my gosh! And then suddenly, like, kind of like how they say, like, you. It's like how there's that conspiracy theory out there that, like, professional sports are just a distraction, so we don't realize what, like, is actually going on in the world. Like, I think that's what this movie could play out as, where it's like the X-Men and the Avengers collide almost as, like, they're distracted and they don't realize what's actually at stake until they all just get sucked from their reality and placed in Battleworld. And Doom, his whole motivation in Secret Wars, from what I believe I understand, is that he sees these threats and he wants to create this, like, paradise safe haven to try and, like, kind of reconnect the multiverse into, like, one place. And hence Battleworld. And so you could have a situation where he extends a hand to the Fantastic Four at first and is like, you see what just happened to your world. The same is going to happen to every world if you don't follow me. And then, like, you have little sprinkles. He annihilates the Kangs. He maybe destroys a world or something, or kills somebody or something. Something enormous is at stake. And the Fantastic Four, over the course of the movie, start to be like, oh, this guy isn't the guy that we thought we were working with. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Leading into Secret Wars.
Yes. And who knows what happens in Secret Wars.
Do you think... How do you think they do Robert Downey Jr. in these movies? Because I assume he's going to be playing multiple things. I think that's pretty much a given.
You think so? It won't just be Doom?
Yeah.
I think he'll return as Iron Man?
Yeah. I think he does.
That'd be so sweet.
I think he does. Obviously, it's not the same thing.
No.
I think... I almost wonder, have you seen that theory about potentially having him be more like a Doom bot thing, where he's not actual Doom, and then... I don't know if they'd do that because they've marketed so around him, so I don't think they'd do that at this point. But I do think there's something there where he's going to be playing multiple things. I think you're going to see him...
Where he's not actually Doom, you're saying? Or...
He's going to be Doom.
Yeah.
Him is going to be Doom. But from different universes, I think you're going to see a Tony Stark. I think you're going to see him as something else maybe too. I think you almost see him as 3 different characters at least. I think that'd be interesting. But
yeah.
I know it feels like it undoes what you did in Endgame. I would just love to see him back as Iron Man at some point. If he's getting paid how much money? He's getting paid $80 million. Is that right?
No, I think it's like close to 100.
$100 million?
Just nuts, dude.
He's got to be. I mean, I know
crazy.
There's centerpiece of the movie. And
yeah.
Obviously he is, but like this is like another level. Like he has to be like centerpiece of the movie to get paid that much money.
Well, not even whoever played Doom has to be the centerpiece of the movie because they haven't done anything.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know what? I see a heck of a lot of people blaming Marvel for this. Oh, this is what happens when you rush your characters, or you can't just shoehorn somebody like Doom. To be fair, Marvel had been setting up Kang since the moment Endgame ended. And Jonathan Majors kind of poo-pooed on that parade. Like, that was not Marvel's fault. Like, they were committed. Immediately after Avengers Endgame happened, Marvel announced Jonathan Majors as Kang. I remember him going on a news junket. He was on the late night shows for the sole purpose of being introduced as Kang. I remember being on Kimmel, Colbert, introducing the next big bad of the Marvel Universe, Jonathan Majors. Like, I remember him walking out to talk about this. This is 2020. Marvel had been teasing that for a while, and Jonathan Majors screwed that up. So, like, blaming Marvel for this is a big no-no. Like, this is not their fault. However, I'll be shocked if he's not teased like you were hoping in Fantastic Four. Because at that point, then it becomes Marvel's problem.
It is slightly their problem. The Kang problem. Do we need to go back to our Ant-Man discussion?
Yeah.
They messed him up too.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem here. I think they almost could have... They could have easily recast him. Easily, if they hadn't done 2 things. Made every single variant Jonathan Majors.
That's totally... I've never... And you know what's stupid is they haven't done that with any other character in the MCU.
No. So don't cast every Kang as Jonathan Majors, and don't have him get plowed over by ants. Just a thought.
Maybe you're right. I don't know.
In addition to his problems. Because I do think for a while there at the end, we were so gassed up on it after Loki. We were like, man, big on Kang.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point, though, where even before all this happened, I was a little like, is this really going to be the guy? This is going to be the guy?
Even like He Who Remains? You just felt like a pushover or something? Or what?
No, nothing to do with Loki. Just the stuff outside of Loki. Like, perception of it.
Okay.
I guess maybe I'm just guessing Ant-Man, but... It just totally soured me on the idea of him being the guy. And dude, I tell you what, man, it was I think a month ago, technically, that Kang Dynasty released. I'm just kidding.
When it would have been slated to release.
A month ago, right?
I think you're right.
Kang
That's
Dynasty.
crazy.
Isn't that weird to think about?
It's wild. Secret Wars would have been coming out
yeah,
around the time Doomsday was supposed to come out before it got delayed.
It was originally Kang Dynasty. Secret Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was okay.
So what's interesting is Doom was always part of the plan, which actually makes it even more crazy that he hasn't been teased. You know what? Maybe it is Marvel's fault. That actually makes it even more nuts, because originally it was going to be Kang, and then Kang just got freaking little broed by Doom when Doom entered the fray for Secret Wars. Maybe this is just a complete
Where has Doom
flub
been?
on Marvel's part.
Where has Doom been? I mean, they could have easily dropped him in a couple projects. Dude,
100%.
I don't get why they haven't done the bit of him just, turning around yet. It's the easiest,
Literally, how... Can you be totally honest? Can we both be totally honest? If there was a scene like that, would you need any more?
No.
No.
Not at first.
I don't think you would.
If Thunderbolts did that, I would have been standing here applauding.
Dude, last year they announced, or 2 years, was it 2 years ago they announced Doom? When did Robert Downey Jr. come out on the stage? Was it like April or May of 20?
Yeah, I think so.
What movie has come out since then? Deadpool Wolverine?
Yeah.
Imagine just a scene at the end of Deadpool Wolverine where a hooded man is just standing there. I don't even know if he needs to turn around. A cloaked man. And then the scene just ends.
You don't even need...
You'd be like,
RDJ
okay,
for
they're
that.
cooking.
Yeah. They've got some sort of plan here.
All right, you know what? I think I'm back on I think Marvel's
So,
back down
it's...
here.
Yeah, we're back down. No more... we're going to get accused anyway of glazing too much on them anyway, so...
Can we actually talk about this?
Yes.
This is where people will check out, but we need to talk about this
Yes.
for our own sake. The social media right now is popping off.
Oh my goodness. Dude.
This is everything you ask for.
This is what you wanted.
Like, you want to have a take that's so egregious that people comment and be like, get off the podcast.
You need to get off.
You
yeah.
want that.
The podcast is over. Yeah. Yeah. It's rewarding, man.
Yeah.
It's what you dream of. The Dune one, the Dune take.
People were coming after you.
Your take on the Star Wars sequels have been unbelievable. Unbelievable. We're getting like more comments than likes on these videos.
I know.
It's crazy. Which
yeah. It's what we want.
Interesting side. It is
that's what I want right now. You know what? While we're like small,
Yeah.
I want that.
Go to war with these people.
If you hate those takes and you don't want to hear more, subscribe to the pod you're looking for.
Please subscribe. Yes.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Man.
I think... Yes.
Before we close out, if you had to give... This is what happens with the X-Men. How do they play into this so that it's not just like Michael Keaton's Batman popping into The Flash, where there's you know what? Cool thing? Absolutely no need for him to be in that movie.
That's kind of how I've always felt like they were going to do it. It's
so?
just
for them to be there.
Just for them to be there. I almost feel like they're going to take all the old ones, and that's who he's going to kill first. So, like, all the returning ones that are, like, X-Men characters that played by actors, that this is, like, a one-off thing for them. Right?
You don't think this will be a thing where they're all charging into battle like James Marsden's Cyclops next to Chris Evans' Captain America, and nobody's wearing pants?
Yeah. I think some of them have to die, right?
Maybe.
You're going to have that many characters?
You got to film this movie before Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart actually die.
Yeah.
They're 112 years old each.
But I'm just thinking through that Endgame scene right now. Can you imagine with the amount of characters we have now fitting everyone in? I don't know how you do it.
No, I guess no. And
I
again,
think some of them have to
right.
die.
Yeah.
And I think for a long-term vision, I think it's cool to be like, man, here they are.
You think so?
Oh, these are the people you loved? Yeah. Mm-hmm. See ya. See ya. Won't that make you, like, totally hate Doom, though? I think it'll work perfectly.
It would be great for Doom. My only thing is the fact that immediately after this movie, the only concrete thing we've gotten about the direction of the MCU post Secret Wars is that this is going to be a mutant saga.
Yeah.
The next saga is called the Mutant Saga. That tells me that for them to bring back every original cast member of the X-Men, like, that's such a left field move. Rather than them just introducing mutants, that's such a left field move that I feel there has to be at least some minor, slightly valid reason for them being there, aside from, multiverse. For them to bring the band back together when in 2 years we're going to have totally new people playing these characters, there has to be some justification, I feel.
See, that's what I'm saying, though, almost, is if we're having in 2 years all these new characters, what are you going to do? You're going to have them all make it through?
Yeah, that's true.
And, like, there's so many, and if I'm them, I'm trying to introduce those new characters now, potentially. Aren't you looking at that? I know you don't...
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. So how do you not have those guys get bogged down when you've got their...
Right.
I don't know. I almost feel like you want it to be like... Maybe this is off. You have them die, and you're like, what in the world, man? We just... Not all of them, but like a lot of the ones that you know are done. Like, done. And then you introduce these new characters, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. I don't know.
3 characters who won't make it out of these next 2 Avengers movies. Go.
That we want? Or
that you just think objectively, you're looking at it, you're like, I don't see a reality where this character makes it past this movie.
Oh.
And just before you say anything, Tom Hiddleston told the Russo brothers he'd come back for Doomsday and Secret Wars if they agreed to not kill his character again.
Really?
Tom said that.
That's funny. I actually think that makes a lot of sense. He's died so many times.
12 times.
I think the more nice ending is almost just that he's restored.
The King of Asgard?
Yeah, and he's... I'm going to say this. Thor. Thor's gone.
Thor's gone, okay.
I think Thor's gone. Hawkeye's gone.
Do you think Hawkeye is even in these movies?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Even with the lowball offer they gave him for season 2?
He'll be in it. How can you not, if you're an actor looking at these movies, I feel like you gotta want to be in these movies, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just take a little slice of the cake.
And I think especially if Kate Bishop's in it.
Yeah.
Because they kind of presented it
Passing
like you wouldn't see one without the other now. Yeah. Okay, so Hawkeye, Thor.
I bet Ant-Man's gone.
Interesting.
Those are all pretty, like...
Does that annoy you?
No, not at all. I'm surprised. We should have clipped that before. My take on hating Paul Rudd. He can go.
Not? I think we might have to. I'll have to go back.
Ant-Man can go.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
We're all good here.
Is it? I'm thinking, would you be more annoyed because you're like, oh, well, if you were willing to kill him off, then why didn't it happen at the end of Quantumania?
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There's enough people to go around to die that it would have been better used there.
Right. Does that not make you feel like here we are wasting time mourning Ant-Man when he should have been dead 2 years ago?
Yes, in the time. But now that we know that it's not Kang, I don't care.
Okay.
It would have made perfect sense if we were still running Kang.
Okay.
But now it's like that movie to me is just kind of a wash. Who would your 3 people you think are going to die? Thor?
Thor's up there.
It's a tough question. Because, again, it feels like anybody's available to die.
Bucky.
Oh, don't even say that, dude. That actually hurts a lot.
And I think one of the major legacy characters would have to die for shock value, if nothing else. I think you're looking at Logan. You're looking at one of the Spider-Men. You're looking at
man,
a Blade or like a Channing Tatum's Gambit.
I need him to stick around. We need more.
You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
I think, and that's how everybody feels about all of these legacy characters. I think somebody would have to, just for shock value, die.
I see that easily being Toby or Hugh Jackman. I kind of thought, this is really off topic, I already thought, when you were in theater watching No Way Home, I totally thought Toby died. During that scene, when he's trying to hold back Willem Dafoe.
Yep. When he gets shanked or whatever in the side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but...
Do you think he did and they reshot it?
Maybe. I really thought they did. The way they did it, I was like, oh my gosh. And then, he's just fine.
There's a part of me that thinks that they shot a death scene and then they were like, people are going to kill us. And they shot it with Andrew Garfield being like, you good? And he was like, yeah, I'm fine. I get stabbed all the time or whatever he said.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, I was like, I wonder if that's chopped up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good future outlook. We're going to have a year and a while to still talk about this.
Yes.
So,
plenty of time.
Yes, plenty of time. It will be revisited.
In 3 weeks, the episode will be Now We Think We Know.
Yeah. Once we see all your theories. Once all the comments tell us how wrong we are on everything.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be perfect. So, like the video, subscribe.
We're on TikTok. We're on Letterboxd. We're on... The pod isn't on Letterboxd, but both of us are.
Yep. Spotify. All of it. Rate, like, subscribe.
Oh, baby. Comment.
And as always... If the door creaks, maybe it's just telling the truth.